Hey everyone, welcome back for another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Last Kingdom. This is book 1 in the Saxon Chronicles by Bernard Cornwell. And I actually read this at the beginning of May, so it was a while ago, and I had a review ready for it, but I decided not to upload it because actually after a couple of weeks I realized I had changed my mind on a couple of things regarding this series. This is not what I usually read. I mostly read fantasy, and this is more historical fiction. So everything that happened, well, not everything, but most of the big events that happened in the book actually happened in real life, in the past. And it doesn't have fantasy elements, so there's no magic, there's no, dragons or elves or that kind of stuff. So it's just a fictional story. Actually, some of the characters actually existed, but the main character is fictional and his story is fictional. So the book is set in England when England was attacked by Vikings, and the main character Uhtred is his child. He's like 9 years old when the Vikings first attack, and he lives with his father and older brother in Bebbanburg, which is like a fortress. And his father is Lord of Bebbanburg, and he decides together with two other lords, one lord and one king, I think, to fight against the Vikings. Of course, things don't go very well, and both his older brother and father die during the battle. And Uhtred is there during the battle, and he he tries to fight against Ragnar. I hope I'm saying that right. Who is the one who killed his older brother? And he's just a child, and he has like a toy sword or something like that, and he tries to attack Ragnar, and Ragnar, of course, he's laughing, but he decides to capture Uhtred, not to kill him, and he actually decides to keep him as like a prisoner, because he kind of likes him, because he says, you were very brave to attack me with your toy sword, right? So the first book, this book, is pretty much about Uhtred growing up with the Vikings, because he is taken as a prisoner, but he becomes one of them. And to be honest, I really enjoyed this part. I just really liked how, sometimes Uhtred, he was just a child, but he did understand, I should be on the other side. I should miss my father. But actually we learned that his father never really loved him, not as a father, he was just the Lord, and Uhtred was his younger son. And on the other hand, the Vikings, they, especially Ragnar, he treats him like a son, and he becomes part of the family. So he's happy with them. And yeah, sometimes he does think, I should be on the other side, but at the same time he likes being a Viking. And I really just like this part. I thought it was really, heartwarming and nice to read. And when I watched the first episode of the TV show, I didn't like it because they basically cut away the entire part. And I do understand why they did that, because it's not as interesting as the fighting, right? And they kind of made it a little more simple. So Uhtred he's like a slave, and then because he saves Ragnar's daughter, he becomes part of the family. But he was never really a slave in the book, at least not the way I thought. And and yeah, the TV show really cuts away most of these part that I really loved from book 1. And again, I understand why they did it, but for that reason I didn't really like the TV show, because that was my favorite part in the book. So mostly the book is about that the childhood of Uhtred. So he grows up, he becomes pretty much a man, and he there are some adventures, and then stuff happens. I don't want to give spoilers, but mostly it's just him growing up being a Viking. And the bigger goal of the series is Uhtred wants to take Bad Bamburgh back, because after his father died, his uncle, believing in dad as well, became the new lord of Bad Bamburgh. But Uhtred knows he's the lord of Bad Bamburgh, he's the heir, so he should be there. So it's basically just about him trying to get Bad Bamburgh back, and it takes like 13 books. So I don't know what happens, and as I said at the beginning, this is not what I usually read, and I'm not saying I will DNF the series forever, I will never read it, but for now I think I will stop here at book 1, because I'm just at this point in my life, I just really love fantasy, and that's what I want to read. I want to read about dragons and magic and elves and whatever else you can put there, but I want to read more fantasy stuff. So I feel like this is a bit too realistic for me. I did like it. I mean, the author is really a great writer. The prose is just beautiful and smooth and easy to read, and the book itself is just very well written, but I miss some fantasy elements. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to find some more historical books that have fantasy elements in them, and I'm going to start with those ones. And once I get used to the historical side of it, maybe I will get back to this series once again. So it's definitely not a bad series, and I gave these 4.5 stars. So, you know, I did like it. It's just not what I want to read right now. So for now, I would just stop here, book 1, but definitely this is a great first book for this series. And if you're interested in like historical events and you don't mind not having fantasy elements in your books, you should definitely read it. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.